Yo! All good, Rick. Have a good night. Hello, everybody. Hope you guys had a wonderful weekend. Mine was jam-packed, but fun. It was a nice day today as well. Nice outside weather-wise for spring, and we took our little doggo to the dog park for the first time in a minute. We haven't been able to lately, but yeah, she had a lot of fun, made a lot of friends, was on her best behavior. It was good. Huh. Sorry, I'm just getting myself together here. Hey, Allison. Happy Easter to you, too. But yeah, how's everybody doing tonight? Do you guys have a good weekend, a good week? Hey, Sandy. But yeah, did you guys have a good weekend? Did you guys do anything for the Easter weekend? We really didn't ourselves. Which is fine. But yeah, right now the family's upstairs watching TV. Allison, you said it's been a nice weekend, or it's been nice here this weekend. I think we're done with the rain now until October. We've barely had any rain like here in Edmonton. We've had the grass is still brown, okay? Grass is still brown from the winter. I think we've had like one rainfall that I didn't even catch because it was probably at like 4 a.m. And probably very brief because it didn't do anything to the grass. So, Sandy, you had family over? That's cool. Yeah, no, my grandmother went to church today, and my mom was here, and I was here, and we took the dog out, like I said, and ate supper, which was nothing special, just some chicken and fries, which I just finished eating like 10 minutes ago. So that's why I'm a little bit late. But I'm here nonetheless. So, without further ado, what's up, everybody? Welcome to General Hospital After Show. I am your host, Dion Gabriel, and we've got lots to discuss today. Hidden secrets were revealed, secret missions have begun, blackmail transactions have transpired, and political discourse hits Port Charles. So buckle up. We got a lot to talk about today. Oh, man. Allison, you said just went out to eat a lot since I was dog sitting my sister's dog about 20 minutes away. Aw. Well, I'm sure she appreciates you dog sitting for her. Hey, Angel. How you doing? I'm assuming you guys have a long weekend as well. I mean, I don't really. I worked yesterday and Friday, and I work tomorrow. This is the only day that I didn't have to work. And it was crazy busy. Yeah, I don't know. Busy. But yeah, like I said, we have a lot to talk about today. Oh, you saw Friday's episode? Oh, just at 12? Okay. Well, at least you're caught up now. But let's get into the whole week. Let's kick things off with something a little lighthearted first, just because it's a little bit pointless, but I don't mind a bit of fluff with the show. So let's talk about Elizabeth. So Elizabeth is now home from the hospital, but the caveat is she needs a nurse with her for several hours of the day, every day. And the nurse she gets is Amy. And Amy was herself, because of course she was, and everyone hated it, especially Aiden and especially Lucky. I mean, he just wanted some alone time with his girl, who he's still hiding a secret from. Sadly, he's yet to tell her Christina caused the accident she was in. Not that I think it would even change anything, to be honest. I think she'd probably just like opt out of punishing Christina for it, just like Lucky did. She'd probably even care less so than Lucky did, honestly. And, she'd probably just tell her to get the help that she needs to let go of the things that she can't change. Which she should, which would be good advice. But she should also pay for her crimes. Hasani said, you have tomorrow off? Well, you are lucky. Lucky. Kaiwani said, why is he being so mean to Amy? Being a responsible nurse, home caretaker, that's crazy. I mean, I think the reality is, like, with the character of Amy, she is someone that just gets on everyone's nerves, regardless of who she is, because of her personality. You know, she's a gossip in the hospital. She's a bit over the top with her personality. She was really created to be a callback to Amy Vining, realistically. Just to have an Amy that was just as annoying, but actually she's probably even more annoying. Because they haven't really done much with Amy at all, really. But you know, it's like a month before the nurses' ball. This is what they always do. They dish out the nurses and remind the audience that they actually are existing characters in the world of Port Charles. We just never see them. But it would be nice to have them more with more story, because it's General Hospital. Sandy said Amy was driving everybody crazy. Allison says I don't like Amy, and like Lucy Coe. Yeah, Lucy Coe annoys everybody as well. Sandy says exactly like Amy Vining. Didn't they give Amy Vining a granddaughter? I don't think so. I mean, Amy was Laura's sister, so to speak. And they really didn't address the fact that Amy died. Well, really, because the actress died, and the character had been gone off the show for years. And then Laura never addressed it. They didn't address it until the first return of the Nurses' Ball back in 2013. So yeah. The other guy that does the Zoom call that said Amy should be a part of the hospital floor line. I mean, listen, I think that all the nurses that we know that are on the show should be seen more prominently. They don't even have to do much. Like just have them be in the nurses station when you're doing hospital scenes, instead of these no-name extras that we'll never know the names of, never know anything about. You know, like Amy and Deanna are both essentially like, I don't know, they are basically glorified extras themselves. I mean, Amy, they did give her a brother, and then he's gone off the show as well. And Deanna, she's just cool. We don't know anything about her other than her name is Deanna, and she's cool. But yeah, I don't know. It would just be nice to have like regulars that we see, so that we can care about them a little bit more than we do. That's just my 2 cents. But anyway, going back to the story, Elizabeth sent Lucas an SOS to help the gang convince her to go back to the hospital. And Lucas basically lied and told her that there was a mix-up and her patients at the hospital need her instead. Was it pointless, the scene? Yes. Sure. But I don't mind a bit of fluff mixed into the show, considering just about everything else is miserable, while the rest of the show also feels a little bit pointless at times. So, I don't know. Pointless like Jocelyn's caper, for instance. Jocelyn being a part of the WSB. Now, Angel, you said they need another season of Night Shift to focus on the hospital things. The thing is, the General Hospital shouldn't have a spin-off to focus on the hospital when General Hospital is literally the name of the show. It is ridiculous. Truly. Even the concept of Night Shift was like, really? A spin-off to focus more on the hospital? than the show that's called General Hospital. Be for real. That was my opinion. But I really enjoyed Night Shift, to be fair, and I wished GH was more like Night Shift. Because it showed that they know how to make the hospital interesting. They just don't on this show, which sucks. I mean, it did have different writers, mind you. So, I don't know. I did prefer Season 2 to Season 1. But yeah. Going back to the show, though. Jocelyn being in the WSB... I still don't know how I feel about it, but let's just talk about the story. Now, like I said, we still don't know much about the why of the mission that she's on, so maybe it won't feel as pointless as it feels to me now when we learn more, but all we know is that she has to get close with the new professor at PCU, Professor Dalton, and that it essentially puts her in competition with Emma, his top student, of course. And he's already encouraging Emma to apply to be his assistant, which is what Jocelyn has to do for her mission. This week, after getting a flaring old injury checked out, likely from her time in training, she runs into Emma at the hospital, who's begun her community service. She was punished punished for chaining herself to the Quartermain crypt. And, as a result, she gets community service. So, she's not having a good time. She had to deal with the children's wing of one of the children's wings in the hospital. And she was a mess. She had gum in her hair. She looked wrecked and tired. Like I said, she's just straight up not having a good time. And after Emma walks away from Jocelyn, after butting heads with her, Joss sees Professor Dalton and basically follows him to this discreet lab in the hospital that we've never seen before. So she discreetly follows him there. She can't go in because it's locked with a card, like a key card thing. And honestly, not gonna lie, this is like the first time I've gotten a WSB vibe from Joss. Like, to me, the story, it doesn't make the story any less ridiculous. But I still don't think that I'll ever be able to take her role as a WSB agent seriously. Just because of how horribly she handled Cyrus. He dead. She killed her. She got away with it. But I will say that I actually enjoyed that episode because we've seen a few spots of the hospital that we don't really get to see that often. We got to see, the corridor with the automatic doors and the water fountain, that part of the hospital. And then this lab, it's like, I feel like they built it into the set that was already there that we've already seen countless times. But it was cool to see it at a different angle. And we even got to see a little bit of Monica Quartermain's cardiac wing of the hospital, which was very empty. Not a person at the desk, not a person walking around. It was just, in the one particular scene, it was Emma, Felicia, and Anna. Nobody else in that entire big space. And I don't even know why they started there. She didn't end up in that hospital, area in the first place. Allison, you said it's stupid. Carly needs to find out what's going on with Joss. I agree. Sorry, Kellen, what are you talking about? But yeah, I'm not watching Beyond the Gates. I couldn't get into it. Yeah. I won't be watching any of the other soaps. Like, I still have Beyond the Gates recording just in case I want to, peek in every now and then, but, short of them recasting half the characters that are played by horrible actors, I can't see myself enjoying the show. And, why put myself through that, I want the show to succeed, to each their own in terms of what they like and don't like, but the acting was just too jarring for me. And it's really why I couldn't get into a lot of the soaps back in the day. To me, All My Children and One Life to Live, in terms of the acting, couldn't hold a candle to GH. So I just could never get into them. Angel says, totally spies. Here we go. Here we go. To me, like, you know what would make this story with Jocelyn more interesting or more appealing is if they have Emma be a WSB agent too. Not necessarily being one already in secret, but like becoming one even. I don't know. It'd be fun. We know that Emma really takes after Anna a little bit, and really looks up to her too, and you know she enjoys being with Anna, and we've seen her as a little girl going on missions with Anna too. So I don't know. I wouldn't mind seeing Emma as a WSB agent. She seems more stealthy than you know, Joss. You know, we've seen her steal a wallet and not get caught. Like, it was fun. I mean, she did technically get caught by Geo, but she talked her way out of it. Maybe she is a spy, though. Maybe she is a WSB member. And that's her big secret. And why she has an NDA. Or why she had to sign one. Anyway. Moving on. Let's talk about Alexis. We touched on it earlier this week. But just to summarize, while she had every intention of getting Christina committed, she opted out because she saw how well Molly and Christina were getting along, and so she decides in the end that she's going to let Ava blackmail her and just, you know, agreeing to illegally pay Ava funds from the Cassadine estate money. So there we go. It's so frustrating. Like, girl, just get your daughter committed. I mean, like, listen, the only person to blame for Christina and Molly falling apart would be Christina. But to be fair, the only reason why Christina got to a point where she was going to kill, you know, Ava and ended up hurting Rick and Elizabeth instead is because Alexis kept letting Christina go on living in her delusions instead of getting her therapy when she needed it. I mean, I know, technically Christina is in therapy right now. However, I doubt she's talking about any of this. Like, she ain't telling no therapist what she did. She's gonna keep that a secret until she gets caught. I don't know. Allison says Emma is better spy and con. Yeah, she would walk all over Jocelyn in the end, and she seems a lot more feisty too. Edmund, you said Ava looked like she really savored her victory over Alexis. I mean, yeah, and rightfully so. She's been begging her for weeks. Listen, like, you guys know, like, I kind of wanted Ava to blackmail Alexis with this, but I just wanted Alexis to actually cave and get her daughter committed. And we didn't get that, so here we are. We're left with the mess that Alexis has now made. Allison, you said you can't get anyone committed in real life unless they are under 18 or mentally incompetent and you are their guardian. Well, I'd say Christina is pretty mentally incompetent for the most part, you know? and we've seen, you know, not to bring up like old wounds, but we've seen characters and people in real life go under conservatorships from the parents. They weren't always, you know, necessary. But I guess it depends who you ask too. But yeah, it's that feels like it should be an option, especially if they list off like what Christina has done since losing her baby. Like, you know. Yeah, I think Christina's boo-boo nuts. Yep. Sandy says, Alexis likes Christina leaning on her. She doesn't care that the girl is getting sicker by the minute. Exactly. She's like, who cares if my daughter ends up snapping and, you know, losing grip on reality, and that I'm letting her do it. As long as she and Molly still get along. Like, what? What kind of parroting? Honestly, like, it's dumb. Man. But also, like, Ava, like we said, she's thriving in this. And she's even like, hey, you know what? You're going to actually pay me a little bit extra. Especially if you can't rein your daughter in. Because despite, Christina trying to be on Molly's good side and hide things from everybody, like, we know that all it's going to take, hey, McCobb, all it's going to take is Ava to just push a little bit of a button on Christina, and she'll go off. It really doesn't take much for Christina to freak out at Ava. And I think Ava will goad her into it, if only to get more money for herself. So, I don't know. That's just how I feel. Angel, you said Christina would be considered mentally unwell. She's not married, so Alexis makes medical decisions for her if Christina is unfit to make her own. There we go. See, that's what I thought. I was like, no, like, I feel like if someone's having a mental breakdown and they're not married, like, surely the parent can step in and do something. Allison, you said it's complicated and convoluted, at least here in the U.S. That's a big reason for our homelessness problem. I'm sure that it comes into play here in Canada as well. For sure. Like, anytime that I've, encountered homeless people on the streets, they, not all of them, obviously, but there are a lot of them that are clearly, mentally unwell. Maybe potentially high on drugs, to be honest, as well. But it's one of those things where it's like, I couldn't blame them considering they're on the streets. Like, just to want to sort of lose reality, because reality is dark for them, But yeah, I don't know. But people not getting the help that they need is probably a major factor into that as well. Just even the mental health that they need. It's just they got nowhere to go for like therapy and things like that, and just makes it worse. Edmund, do you think Christina is bipolar like her father and brother? Honestly, I wouldn't doubt that at this point. And I think we talked a little bit about that in the streams earlier this week. That she might as well be. She's more of a hot mess than Morgan ever was. And I think, it would give Mo and, oh my gosh, the actress that plays Christina, whose name, Kate Manzi. It would give Kate and Mo some really great scenes together that wouldn't necessarily annoy me. Especially when they deal with the emotional aspects of coming to grips with her having bipolar, if that's what ends up happening. And we know that it's a story that Mo himself takes really seriously because he battles with it in real life. And I think that he will want her and himself to play the story with care, and that we get some really meaty scenes. It's hard to say whether Kate would be capable, because I don't know her work beyond what we've seen of Christina. And it's not like her scenes of Christina is bad, but and it really not. It's not. She does a great job. It's just, it's hard not to compare her to Lexi, and just sort of the emotional vulnerability that came with the character. And like, even when her version of Christina was annoying as hell, like, she still managed to make you sympathize with her. Whereas when current Kate Manzi's Christina is making horrible decisions, it just, anytime she's crying and emotional about it, it just annoys the shit out of me. Truly. House needs to, I like Kate. I like her too. I'm just saying, like, she doesn't pull the heartstrings on me like Lexi did. But I still think that she does a great job. I don't know. Just my 2 cents. Hey, Nathan. Just, chit-chatting about GH. How about you? Did you have a good weekend? Sandy said bring Lexi back. Well, Lexi left on her own, though. That's the thing. Lexi left to pursue some other things. And I don't blame her, because they barely gave her anything to begin with. It just sucks that they like, you know, they finally decide to bring Christina to the forefront, and they do it with a new actress. Christina, they still write like Lexi's supposed to be this little girl and not a grown woman at 35. Yeah, that's the thing, is like they are writing her to be as immature as Christina was when she was, 17, 18 years old. And that's the big problem. And it's why I was so frustrated that they didn't let Christina grow. I thought that this surrogate story would be the way to do it, for her to prove that she has changed. And boy, did that go to hell in a handbasket. Like, that just blew up. I was like, damn, man. But I mean, this story also like happened under like 3 different writers because of all the swaps around behind the scenes. But yeah, I don't know. It is what it is. They're still writing her like this immature dummy. And now she's just an immature dummy that's mentally ill. Like, oh, Lord. Can't win, you guys. Oh, man. What is Lexi was doing what Christina is supposed to be doing, working with the LGBTQ. Was that what she was doing? I forget why Lexi left. I just knew that it was like for very important reasons that she was going to focus on. And I haven't really kept up with Lexi on social media. I think I still follow her on Instagram, but I don't think she posts much. Angel, you said Alexis and Sonny are treating Christina like a teenager that is coddled. Yeah, because she's acting like one. She's acting worse than one. It's just brutal. All right, but let's move on though. Let's talk about her sister for a little bit, Molly. Molly and Cody, they actually got a bit of fluffiness in terms of pointless scenes themselves this week. I think on Friday's episode, Molly's car breaks down seemingly in the middle of nowhere, where every accident seems to occur in Port Charles for whatever reason. Probably because they can't afford any other sets. And Cody just happened to be riding his horse in that particular area. And it seems that Molly has a big fear of horses for some reason. Like, I always think back to young Molly, who romanticized everything and was all sunshine and rainbows. And I feel like she would love horses. And likely rode horses as a kid, visiting, Uncle Nick at Windermere, or her cousin, whatever. I feel like she would have ridden horses. So her fear of horses in these scenes were a little bit weird. Edmund, you said, have you gotten used to the new Molly yet? I did. I actually got used to her right away. I mean, it probably helped that we just had a shuffle of Mollys in between Haley and the current one. Whose name escapes me. If you guys know it, let me know in the comments, please, or in the chat. But yeah, I like the actress. I think she does a great job. She does remind me of Molly, both look-wise and personality, but just certain things that they do with her. Like, I don't like that they've made her uptight. I really don't like that they've made her so uptight. And like by the book, because the Molly we grew up with was like unique. She was like a mini Spinelli, but like romanticized and everything. Like, she romanticized everything. She loved love. She believed in fairy tale romance and all this stuff. And we even got to see her find her fairy tale romance with TJ. And, TJ's just gone, and no one's talked about where he's been, where he's at, what he's doing. He's just not mentioned. Jordan doesn't even talk about him. Man. But, anyway, going back to the scene, Cody basically offers to give her a ride since the tow truck wasn't going to be there for hours. And it took the whole episode for Cody to convince her to get on the horse. And then just the way the scene ended. So help me out here. Okay, so he puts Molly in front of him on the horse as she held her briefcase, and they rode away like that. Now, listen, I'm not an expert on horses. I have ridden them several times in my life. Loved it. It's a bit wobbly, but a lot of fun, especially when they gallop. I loved it. And my mom loves riding horses as well. We just haven't done it in so long. It's been a long time. But we always loved it. But to me, it feels like it would have been a lot easier if she was behind Cody. Like, does that not make more sense? Like, I don't know. Like riding a motorcycle. Like, you wouldn't put the person that doesn't know how to ride a motorcycle in the front, right? Like, she could just sit behind Cody, hold on to his waist, and the briefcase that she was holding could just be in the middle. Also, she can't leave the briefcase in the car because it's got court documents. So that's why she's carrying it with her instead of leaving it in her car. Just saying. Sorry, what were you guys saying in the comments? Angel, you said Molly is more mature than Christina because she had no choice because Alexis ain't giving Molly the same attention. Like, she can be more mature, but like, I think that she can still have like, what's the best way to describe this without making her seem a bit delusional? Just like a bit of hopefulness, like in her life. Like, yeah, she had trash parents, but like, you know, her upbringing was overall like pretty good. Like, she had her friends, she was smart, she got to school, she went out to do what she wanted to do, she found her man, like all this stuff. And you know, she should have, she doesn't really have much of a reason to be this uptight. I don't know, that's how I felt. You think they're trying to do like a 30s Hollywood love films with those two? I don't know. Nathan, you said I can't take Molly and Cody seriously if they're hooking them up as a pairing. Friendship, I can deal with that. I've never wanted Molly with Cody. I wanted Cody with Lulu, to be fair. Molly had better chemistry with Dr. Isaac anyway. And although to be fair, like, let's not take away Jordan's man. This is the first time she's gotten play in years. But I don't know. I just feel like they have better options than Cody for Molly. But I do actually like them as friends. I just don't necessarily want to see them as a romantic whatever. Platonic guy-girl friendships are great, okay? We can have them on this show. Angel says, Molly isn't allowed to cut loose too much because of Christina's raggedy butt. Well, it's not like she's forever linked to her. And we've seen, to be fair, we've seen Molly, like, be a little bit bad in her day. Like, she did eventually get a fake and go into bars and stuff, like a fake ID, before she turned 21. Allison says, yeah, I thought they were doing Cody and Lulu. They have better chemistry, in my opinion. They really do. But yeah. The whole scene was just silly. That's all I wanted to really get at. This scene was silly. It was ridiculous. I did see a behind the scenes shot of the horse being carried through the set, and the actress that plays Emma just really like living her best life, enjoying the crap out of just seeing a horse on the set. I would too, to be honest. Like, gone are the days when they actually had animals on the sets frequently. This isn't the 90s anymore where there was an actual physical dog that played Annabelle as opposed to the invisible one that plays Annabelle the Second, somewhere in the Quartermain Mansion. Probably lost among the 35 people that all live there together. Devoted to who? What? Anyway. Let's touch briefly on Trina. So, she's not happy about the fact that Kai wants to get the surgery. She has spoken to him about being against it, but Kai has pretty much made up his mind. So Trina goes to Portia and Ava for advice at different times during this week. And they both kind of come to the conclusion, like, you don't have a say. He's going to make the choice that he has to make, and you just have to be there for him no matter what happens in the situation. If you're going to, be committed to being with him still. And to that end, Portia does do research on the surgery, and she actually gets visited from Kai, and she states that she can't in good conscience recommend this surgery. Now, maybe I wasn't paying too much attention in the scenes, but I couldn't tell if that was because she knew how worried Trina was about it, or if she genuinely saw something that she didn't see, or didn't want, or didn't like about the surgery, where she genuinely recommends that he doesn't get it. I don't see that slowing Kai down from getting it, though. I think we're likely in for yet another paralyzed story, which, we get them every few years on the show at this point. And also, we'll probably end up with another enemy for Drew. I think at this point, Kai, Willow, and Drew's political lackey Puppet are the only ones in all of Port Charles who don't despise him at this point. But yeah, I don't know. It's not going to end well for Kai, for sure. Sandy said, I was ready for some hot romance with Jordan and Isaiah. Now they stick Sidwell in the mix. Yeah, it's a bummer. It's a bummer. Angel said, I honestly feel for Molly when it comes to Alexis's parenting. I am also the younger sibling that is more put together. See, I grew up as an only child. Like, I have half siblings, but none of them, I've never lived with any of them. I've never met I've met my oldest sister, who's a year younger than I am, as a baby, but I don't remember that. But yeah, I've not met any of my siblings. So I've grown up as the only child, so I can't relate, but I don't know. I can see this being the reality for a lot of sibling situations where, there's one black sheep and one good sheep, I guess, in the family. And the parents have to put all their effort into the black sheep that just grew up messy and made poor decisions and kept making poor decisions. It's probably something that so many families deal with. But I don't know. I guess I'm thinking just in who we see Molly to be growing up, because Christina was a mess back then too, but Molly made her own bad decisions in life as well, and she had her own thoughts and feelings and didn't seem all that bothered by Christina being messy. I think she just cared about her sister as much as her mom did, and would probably put Christina first because of that as well. But I don't remember seeing any resentment from Molly about it. And Molly was pretty prominent growing up on screen, so I don't know. It just feels like it's a left field thing. It's not out of the realm of possibility for siblings in general, but just saying as a family that we've seen on screen nonstop. Christina's gone on and off here and there, but we've always seen Molly, and anytime Christina is in the show, we've seen exactly what she kind of goes through, and Molly has never seemed bothered. 2 black sheep and 1 good one. It's rough out here. Oh man. Middle children are usually the black sheep, unfortunately. See, I don't know. So I have 6 other siblings, just for reference. and like so like three in New York and three in Japan. I know virtually nothing about the ones in Japan beyond their names and their sort of career trajectories. But I would say like two of my siblings in New York are pretty black sheep. One of the children in New York is actually autistic and doesn't speak. So he's probably, if anything, the good one in the family because he doesn't have to say anything. Never has anything to say. But they communicate in their own ways as well. But I don't know. Even though I'm a single child, essentially, within my family, my mom and my grandmother, I would argue that I was probably a bit of a black sheep. I was a good kid growing up. And then I sort of rebelled at like 18 onwards for several years. But, we all find our way in life, right? 11 siblings that you didn't grow up with. Wow. Dang. Is he in a group home? His mom takes care of him. As far as I know, as far as I'm aware, the last time I had spoken to my sister, he was still at home with them. But my sister moved recently out of their town, so I don't know how much she's keeping up with him. But my sister's always been like his protector, so to speak, like his total ride or die. So I don't know. Allison, you said I work with autistic kids. It's hard. Yeah, in my work, I see a lot of families with autistic children, and every situation is different, obviously, because there's different levels of it, right? But I think our job tries to cater to them in any way that we can, with patience for their parents and caretakers. But yeah. Taiwan, you said your father had his first kid when he was 16. Wow. All right. Let's move on. We got a few more things to talk about. I mentioned Drew earlier. Let's just speak about him for a minute. Willow is so wrapped up in probably Drew's abs that she didn't seem to notice how stupid it was to make him the emergency guardian of her kids should anything happen to her. Listen, watch this girl get killed off. Watch this girl die. And Michael's kids have to be with Drew when he gets back here. Again, I would love to see Drew Garrett back in the role, just throwing it out there. Maurice interviewed him the other day, and, I would love to see him back as Michael. Just saying. Angel, you said y'all got sensory zones in the mall. We don't, but there are certain times of the years for the attractions where they will cater to children with autism and just giving them assistance. Of course, their caretakers always get them for free for the attractions as well. So certain things, and even like for things like Santa Claus photos during the Christmas season, like they have dedicated times where it's just the kids with autism and the Santa Clauses interacting in a very quiet area. It's really hard for that particular mall, if you know, to have like a quiet designated area. Like we obviously have lounges and places where there is a bit of quietness in terms of like stores here in the mall and lounges. But it's a very busy mall, and it's quite a huge mall. The biggest in North America, so to speak. But it's like, yeah, I don't know. But they do what they can considering the sort of, I don't know, larger than life atmosphere that it has. they do their best to sort of, make things as comfortable for them as they can. And honestly, even a lot of guests with disabilities, it feels like a safe zone where, like, I feel like generally the employees, regardless of what departments they're in, they do a great job at, like, showing patience and kindness to them, to their caretakers, to the behaviors that they have, just like an understanding of the situation. Angel says, Willow is such a lost cause. Allison says, yeah, so stupid. We need Michael back. Kaiwan, you said this is the only way that I can stand that Willow can take. Willow has nowhere to go. Everyone has blocked her off. So I feel like you can only trust. So she can only trust him. Yeah, but, Drew really kind of helped her get in that situation. It is unfortunate because, I know, Angel, I know, but I wish he would. But yeah, like, Drew really groomed her and, like, went out of his way to make sure she was isolated, because that's just what people like him do. And I feel like I've talked about this before, but, like, I just want to just point out the, like, I don't know if they actually put the thought process into this, but the fact that Drew's house is the Dawn of Day house is kind of poetic. Because, like, it feels like she's just fallen for another cult leader. And it's just the cult of Drew. Biggest in North America, that's huge. And Allison, you said, I always wanted to go to the Mall of America. So, funny enough, the mall here and the mall there are owned by the same people. Ta-da! And even employees have gotten to go there to the U.S. to see that mall. And also American Dream Mall, because all three are owned by the same people. We just had the first. We had ours first, and then they expanded their sort of franchise. I don't know. It's a mall. But, like, with the same sort of, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know. The same sort of, like, blueprint. A mall with several attractions to go to. Albert, the only one spreading lies is you. Listen. Like, again, confirmed by Kramer Matheson that he is a shitty guy. The actor said so. It is canon. The writers are writing it this way. It is canon. The entire cast of characters have established that he is a bad man. Drew isn't even pretending to be a good man. Like, you gotta just accept that he's the villain. He's the villain. I liked Drew before, but they've made a beeline to villainy. He just is one. You gotta accept that. You're acting like Christina, man, living in your own reality when all the signs point to this. He's a bad man. Accept it. You will. He's a good man, Savannah Trey. Allison says Drew is a classic abuser. Manipulating the situation. Groomed this poor girl into losing everyone she's ever cared about. And, it's funny, like, Carly said that Willow doesn't think for her, Willow does think for herself. Like, I don't think so. Every thought has been, like, put into her by Drew's head. We see like the wheels moving in his head, the way he kind of, like, sort of, maneuvers his way around certain sentences to make it seem like she's making the choice. But yeah. Or, like, almost being like, oh, well, I just think it's this way, and you just gotta trust me. I will make sure of this. And it's like, it's gross. I don't think Willow is 37, and no way in hell she's 37. Willow is much younger than Michael. Although, like, to be fair, like, I don't know, since they twinned her with Nell, it's hard to say, I guess. But, like, adults can still be groomed. That's how adults end up in cults. That's how that works, Kaiwan. You don't have to be a child to like get groomed into seeing someone as your, savior and your king and all this stuff. It's like, it's just the reality that like, no, like, it could really happen to any of us, I suppose. But I guess it also comes down to how you grew up in the first place. It's unfortunate for Willow because she was essentially born into a cult. Because her mom, or her adoptive mom, really kind of took her from place to place as far as I recall the backstory being. Like, Dawn of Day wasn't the first stop for Willow. Been gone too long? Dude, I was here Tuesday and Wednesday. I was here. And, I was here Tuesday, Wednesday, and today. I've live streamed more this week than I have in the last 3. I've been around. Yeah, that's fair, Kaiwan. It's I don't know. It's hard to say. Just because Willow, it's not that she strikes me as younger than Nell, but she just has such a young personality. Because they've made her very wallflowery, like just from the get-go, She just seems young and naive. Sandy said Willow has no idea how to think for herself. It's true. Yeah, Angel says all her thoughts are heavily influenced. She's not thinking on her own. That's why she doesn't need to be having those kids. Yeah, I agree. Like this, and I think if and when Michael returns, whoever he's played by, regardless, when the court situations start to happen and we're seeing this battle play out, I think Michael will definitely be bringing up Dawn of Day and making the comparisons to, what she went through now and what she's been manipulated into now as well. Sorry, back then and now. So, and just like her pattern of like jumping from hero to hero. I think Willow is in her earlier 30s like me. The actress is the same age as me. Okay. But yeah, like I said, like age doesn't matter when it comes to like someone's ability to make who they are this shiny beacon of, I don't even know how to describe. Just someone that you want to follow. They can like really con you into believing that they are these good people that are just trying to do good in the world and all this stuff, and people fall for it hook, line, and sinker. We see it all the time in like certain situations, whether it's like shady religions or shady sort of belief systems. We see it in politics. It's like like no one, like it can happen to anyone at any age. It does ultimately come down to what your life is like, if you've had it bad and you kind of meet someone who seems like they could save you from that, then you'll just kind of latch on to whatever they say, even if all the sort of neon flashing lights are in your face. You're blinded by the thoughts that this is the man that's going to save you from what you dealt with growing up, Sad. All right. But, it's getting late. We got still a few more things to talk about. So let's just start dishing this shit out. All right, guys? So we're not here too late. I got things to do, and I'm sure you guys do too. Plus, I got to go to sleep at a decent hour. I got to work tomorrow. Let's talk about Jordan. This week, Laura and Jordan, they kicked off their plan to get her fired from her deputy mayor position so that she can place herself in Sidwell's organization. But Jordan throws Laura an unexpected version of their plan, where she publicly disagrees with her, which was a part of the plan, but then quits on the spot in front of all the media during the press conference about leaving the fate of the Esplanade in the hands of the people of Port Charles instead of just choosing for them. More on the fallout of that between Sonny and her later. Laura and Sonny later. But yeah, Jordan visits Jens at Windermere to hear him out about this job. And he's very cryptic beyond, I want your full loyalty, and I need you to soften the important people of Port Charles towards me. Not sketch at all. Lucy later shows up at Windermere, and Jens decides to confess to her that Natalia is his ex-wife, and Natalia shows up there, and Lucy rips her a new one. So, Natalia was like a deer caught in the headlights, alright? And anyway, Natalia yells at Jens for revealing it, and talks about her relationship with Sonny being over, to which she then decides to just tell Jens about Sonny's heart condition. I don't know if I missed something, how it got to that so quickly and easily. Like, I don't know. Like, to me, she, to be fair, Jens admitted that he had her and Sonny followed to a clinic in LA. But that person did not see what happened in the room when they were in private. So Natalia could have easily just said, I have the heart condition. You know? And she didn't. She just caved to the man. Like, why? My goodness. If Sonny didn't trust her now, he'll never trust her again after that. Did Natalia tell why she didn't tell anybody? I mean, she didn't really have much of a chance to really explain herself. Lucy didn't really let her get a word in. But I don't know. I don't even know if she really touched on it much with Sonny. Like, she's obviously ashamed of the man. She stated that she's not, it's been decades since they were married. And obviously it wasn't a good marriage. Really, she should have just given Sonny all the intel about the man instead. Like, I don't know why she didn't. Hey. But anyway, so while that was happening at Windermere, Jason actually showed up to Deception and told Maxie and Brooklyn about Natalia's identity. The conversation ends up leading Maxie to mention that Sasha was the one that convinced them to work with Jen Sidwell in the first place. Which Jason was like, the fuck? Sandy, you said, do you like Natalia better now that she has family? Nope. She's still just as uninteresting to me as she ever was. I do like her son, though. But yeah, going back to Jason and Sasha, it's unfortunate that Jason's now like about Sasha, because they had some cute scenes at the start of the week where she was getting sonograms, and I could totally see these two falling in love eventually. So I don't hate it, but it just feels like they'd be trying to recreate Jason and Sam, because that's basically what happened with them as well. Jason having to raise someone else's baby. Not that the baby was born, but I'm just saying. But yeah, so Jason goes to the Quartermaines to just sort of ask her why she sold out to Sidwell. And I know that Sasha's going to jump on the defense and get, all none of your business. What I do is none of your business. It's just going to be the same thing that we've seen with her earlier in the week. I did like Sasha's scenes with Olivia before that, though, because Olivia really just kind of told her that whether she was having a Quartermaine baby, which I guess it is a Quartermaine. She's just thinking it's a different one. But Olivia establishing that Sasha is one of the family because she's lived here with them for so long. She's able to clap back to Tracy, and she's shown that she cares about the family. So Olivia sees her as a quartermain regardless, which was nice. I thought those scenes were really lovely. And we got to learn that Tracy, when Ned and Olivia got married, gave Olivia a really nice card and just really sweet and caring. And I don't remember if that was actually a thing that happened on the show or if they've added that in for some pizzazz. Now, Natalia's identity wasn't the only one that got revealed this week. Marco's was as well. He was outed to Diane and Jason by Sonny. And Jason decides to visit Marco at his office, his new office, which isn't officially his yet, but I guess he knew he'd be there. Basically he just asks him a ton of questions, and Marco plays things very close to his vest and the chest. To me, it feels like the writers, again, don't really know where they want to take the character of Marco, so they're just gonna like coast him along and leave the audience guessing if he's good or bad or not, which I hate. I hate when the writers do that, because it seems like a cop-out. Like, it seems like they don't know who this character is, and they're gonna drag it out until they figure out what they want to do with him. It just seems like a character that hasn't been well thought out, and that bothers me. Especially because it's a character that, like, I want to like, you know? And now I'm having to sit here and being like, is he good or is he bad? For God knows how long. So, but, you know, and for Lucas's sake, I hope that he's not a bad guy. Lucas actually caught the tail end of their confrontation, like his and Jason's. And Marco does confess to Lucas that he's Jen Sidwell's son. Lucas doesn't really know what to do with that, and I don't blame him. Alexis gets to confront Marco later on as well, and they kind of compare notes about their family ties to batshit crazy people, and how they both have created their own lives for themselves, despite Jen's being one of his clients. And I do like that he also kind of calls out, you know, the hypocrisy of it, because, you know, Diane and Alexis, you know, one of their clients is Sonny Corinthos, and he is a pretty notorious mob boss. So, like, I don't know, apples and oranges when it comes to that. But, you know, it's also like, because Sonny is Diane and Alexis's client, as is Jason, and people connected to them quite often, you know, it puts Marco in the position of getting to get intel on his father's enemies. So, you know, it's we don't know. Both things are possible. But, you know, the actor that plays him actually did an interview where he kind of explains how he navigates Marco's and Jen's relationships. And it comes down to, he sees that his father, you know, who his father was when he was a kid. Like, his father was loving towards him, you know, was always there for him. He was supportive when he came out, whereas Natalia was not the supportive parent in that situation. You know, Jen's also gave him sort of free reign to do what he wanted in life and go out and become whatever he wanted to be. He wanted to become a lawyer, and he is one, but he just also happens to have his dad as a client. So, I don't know. Lawyers are supposed to see, you know, their clients as innocent until proven guilty, or just, you know, deserving of, you know, this process, to battle things in court that they are against. So yeah, Marco's gonna be the reason why. I don't get that tie though. I mean, I don't know. The reason why I don't think, I honestly still don't think it was Jens that burned Michael. And the only reason why I don't think so is because Jason doesn't think so. Like, we've seen Jason for decades now in Stone Cold mode, and this guy is he's never wrong about anything. You know? Like, if Jason sees that Jens isn't the one. Like, you know, if Jason thinks that Jens didn't do it, then he probably didn't do it. And I don't think Marco would either. And if he would, I don't think it was on his father's orders. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I just don't buy it. I don't buy it. But yeah. Oh, also, in talking about Marco and Alexis's comparisons, Sidwell paid Tracy a visit at some point this week, and they talked about the common thorn on their side being Sonny, and how it would benefit them both if they both oust him from the company. So we might see Tracy and Sidwell teaming up to get rid of Sonny from Deception. We'll see how that goes. I mean, like, here's the thing. To me, it feels like they are getting ready to have this new big bad in Port Charles, who, again, isn't convincingly scary to me yet, or intimidating. But it almost seems like they're trying to make him the new sort of maybe mobster. Is Jens technically a mobster? Have we established he's in the mob? But yeah, anyway, the new big bad essentially, and they're gonna paint over his crimes with, you know, philanthropic things, kind of like Sonny does. So it makes me wonder if Maurice is actually retiring, and we're just unaware at this point. But I guess we'll see. Imagine that Sonny just dies from heart surgery. Oh man, doesn't even die from like a shootout or anything. He just dies in surgery. By the way, he finally told Carly about his heart condition. She wasn't happy about how many people knew before her, which I found funny. Which leads kind of to this last point, or this last story bit. Sonny's in a bit of a bind, because if people vote against taking Sonny's pier away for the Esplanade, Sonny would obviously want to fight it. And he's said that as such to Diane. And that puts him at odds with Laura, one of his dearest and oldest friends. Diane advises against fighting it, saying it's legitimately a losing battle for him. There's no way around it. You can either fight it to no winning conclusion, or bail out gracefully. Everyone is talking about Laura and Sonny right now as well, because of that press conference and the political climate that surrounds it. During Dante's birthday, which we saw on screen this week, Rocco talked to Dante about how he doesn't want Sonny there as much as he kind of does, but he doesn't, because of how it would probably take away from the debate and be a distracting situation, because people are already, trashing Sonny to begin with, whether it's the politicians, the people in the comments probably as well, on the social media posts from these media outlets, as they are going to do that with Laura as well. But Laura's just got, like, the fact that she's the mayor on her side on that front. Felicia actually visited Carly and asked her to try and convince Sonny not to fight it, because Mac's really worried about it apparently. But again, Sonny really doesn't want to, and I get why he doesn't want to, because it's going to make him look weak to his enemies. But it doesn't even matter now, because his biggest enemy currently already knows he's weak because of his heart condition. Thanks, Natalia. Like, I don't know. It's not that I'm rooting for Sonny, like, in a general sense here. It's just like, I don't know. It's hard. This whole storyline is just, it's just a little bit too close to reality right now. You know what I mean? Like, it feels like we get enough of watching shady criminals neck deep in politics in real life these days. The only smart thing, and we touched about this, earlier this week, is that they don't mention who is in what party. I think people that can't help themselves would just use it as an excuse to hate characters on their political beliefs instead of their morals, and would just invite the vile audience members who have no sense of reality to start trashing the actors for the political views of their characters, when, it may not be true. depending on who the actor is. Since they already they already do this about characters whose actors' politics they don't line up with. They trash the actors, and then they hate the characters because of the actor that plays them and who they are in real life. I don't know. I've always managed to separate the two, like the acting from like the actors. Sorry, the characters from the actors. Because, for example, I don't line up with Ingo's politics, but I liked Jack's. I like the character. But the only thing is, like, I do feel like the writers stopped caring about Jax long ago before all the controversy even, because he just kind of was always just sort of Sonny's punching bag, and it gets old. We know Jax is never going to come on top of Sonny, so it's like, here we go again, like that. That was it for me. But I overall, like, when they did have Jax kind of doing his own thing, I really liked him with Carly. I was a big Jax fan. Until she, always chose Sonny or cheated on him with Sonny, and I was kind of hoping back then that would be it. She would move on, and that didn't work out too well. Allison says a lot of people hate Nancy Lee Grahn. Yeah, but a lot of people hate Ingo too, and people have their reasons for both, and. The only thing that frustrates with me, like, everyone's of course entitled to their opinion on, stating their opinion on actors' social medias about the actors' personal opinions if they're bringing that to the table. But I think it's just like, I don't know. My biggest problem with certain people that make comments under these actors' things is like when they're like, stick to acting. It's like, that's their job. Like, no one's going to like tell a teacher to stick to teaching if they decide to like share their political opinions on their own pages. It's like, man, it's like someone would be stick to like someone. It's like someone going up to me and be like, stick to like talking about soaps, or stick to being a customer service rep. Like, we're allowed to have our opinions and like state them. Like, don't quiet them just because their job is like puts them in like a public setting. Like, it would be weird to like not have them use their voices in that way, Allison, you said Jax was pointless after Car Jax. Yeah, that was the reality. Like, it just like I wanted Jax to like fall in love and not have to worry about Sonny ever. And then like, they put him in this situation with Nina, or this this relationship, and they form one, and then they have Nina fall for Sonny when it seems so left field to even put Nina in his direction. Like, that in itself was ridiculous to me. And I don't know like where the story would have gone if oh my gosh, her name, Michelle, that used to play Nina, Michelle Stafford. Like, I feel like they would have stuck to Jackson Nina with Michelle if she hadn't decided to quit. Kaiwani said, in the wheel, they gotta understand the real world doesn't work that way. Of course, people are gonna be for Trump or gonna be forbidden in real life. Actually, most of the world hates Trump. It's kind of like the Trumpies that are on their own on that front. It's like, no, they won't be in a bad position. I just feel like, generally speaking, and it's not true in all cases, but a lot of Trump's supporters are quite vile in the ways that they, just like talk to people. Like, they treat other people that are different from themselves like the bottom scum of their shoes. Whereas like, and it's not to say that people on the left side of politics don't do that either, because there are some that do, and it kind of puts a bad name on that. But like, I don't know. There's just so much hypocrisy. There's so much hypocrisy. It's like, they'll be like, oh, well, you know, the left wants all the criminals in. And it's like, you got one in the White House, dude. Y'all are overlooking this dude's like decades of crimes even before he was a political person. Like, I don't know. It's like the same people that were like, you know, he's a good businessman. And like, dude has so many like failed businesses. You know, he's had to announce bankruptcies for several of them. Like I said, Kaiwan, some people end up in cults. The shiny beacon of of their savior, if they had like a certain upbringing where they felt like they couldn't be heard, and then they see people that probably shouldn't be seen as saviors, and it's a little bit creepy. I don't know, like, as a Canadian, just kind of on the outside of this, well, as outside as we can be, with Trump trying to destroy Canada and make it a part of the United States. Great guy, though, right? Bastard. But he, like, the thing that I'm noticing as an observer of, like, let's say Canadian politics versus United States politics is that, like, I don't know. It seems like over there, like, right wings kind of see, I don't know, the right wings politicians, maybe this is just like a Trump thing. I don't know. Like, I just don't recall, like, even, because, you know, we watched your elections even like way before Trump was even in office. Just anytime there was like Republicans versus Democrats and all that stuff, like, it didn't seem like anyone was like, you know, worshiping the ground a politician walks upon until Trump. Because like now it's like the right side is always in like these red hats and like these red sort of like I don't know, just the merch, y'all, buying cards with his pictures on it with like really shitty artwork. Like I'm not, there's not like not merch on the left side, but like one definitely just seems like they're just trying to support and fund, you know, the sort of politics. You don't see like, you know, weird like slogans and stuff like all over their shirts and their cars and this and that. See, it's like one is very like cult like, or like, you know, seeing these politicians as celebrities. That's the biggest problem over there, I think, that y'all see your like politicians as celebrities. They shouldn't be celebrities. They're politicians. All politicians are trash, but he's just more open about being openly trash. It is tacky. It's so tacky. But yeah, like, the guy is garbage. He's frankly garbage. Just a garbage human being. And I felt that way in the 90s. It had nothing to do with what he's done as president. He was just a shitty guy. And like anyone who isn't sort of delusioned by what sort of like vote, I don't know, like encourages them to vote for him, whether it's their racism, their bigotry, you know, I think because it gives people, I think what those people are drawn to is he kind of gives them permission to be the worst version of themselves. They can be as bigoted as they want to. They could be as rude to certain races as they want to. They can see, you know, they can see themselves as superior if they want to for the colors of their skin. You know, it's like, I don't know. It's trash. And like, it's just like, I don't know. And the thing is, he kind of puts the shiny beacon on, like, I'm putting America first. Dude, you are crashing the economy. People are losing their businesses. Canadians are getting arrested when they're going into the country legally and being held there for days. And I noticed that you never say anything about that, Kaiwan. It's kind of like, it floats over your head. I don't know why. But that's what I'm saying. Like, it's like they refuse to see what everyone else in the world can see. It's a cult like situation. It's not like Trump is bad. Trump bad man. I'm left, so therefore this. It's not the case, because there were Republicans that rallied against him as well. You know? It's just like, I like, even like pre-Trump, like I was always, I would say I'm pretty independent in terms of like, I'm like, whether it was this guy or this guy, I believed that, you know, they both had the country's best interests at heart. But like with Trump in particular, it's blatantly obvious to almost everyone that he's there for himself, and he's lining up his buddies' pockets. He's passing laws to help them, whereas like he's kind of leaving Americans on the wayside if they're working class. Like, they're not like, you know, yeah, you're getting a recession because of his tariffs. Yeah, it's literally bringing the country down. Again, small businesses are like literally falling apart over there, you know. And I've even like, I'm seeing like people that you know, that are right-winged, like losing their jobs and be like, what the F are you doing? Like, I voted for this guy and this is what's happening. And that's a situation of like, it's fine until it happens to you. And it's like, well, it's not like you guys didn't have anyone warning you for the last like decade that this was going to happen. Sandy said he's even more delusional than Christina. It's, well, no. Like, the thing is, I don't think he's delusional. I think he just says what he knows his fan base wants to hear, because it just makes them go even harder for him. But like, I don't know. It's one of those things where I want to have compassion for anyone that's kind of having to deal with the fallout of his tariffs, because we have friends in the States, both left wing and right wing, who are feeling his actions. We got senior friends over there that lost essentially their entire retirement fund that they worked their entire lives for. And I've seen people that I watch on YouTube where I don't know if they're left or right because they don't kind of speak on it, but losing their own businesses for their own merch and stuff. And it's like, I don't know. It's just, if you still see him as a good guy after all that is like right in front of your face, then you're in the cult and you just can't see it. Like, it's just like, that's the situation. And while I can sympathize for anyone losing their life's work over the situation, what kind of irks me about it is that they didn't care that it was happening to everyone else. They voted for him because they thought it wouldn't touch them. And, they were warned that it was going to touch them. And now that they're like, oh, I didn't think I would be affected. It's like, well, there was an entire book. There was an entire book about it. Their entire plan, which we're seeing play out in real time now. And they were just like, well, he said he didn't have anything to do with it. And it's like, dude, his name was in that book like thousands of times. Like, I don't know. I just think if you believe the word of one person over like the evidence from like the rest of the world, then you're not living in reality. Like, it's just like, we're not doing this because like we just don't want Republicans to win. It's like, no, we just want you guys to get a better candidate that actually has the best interests of the states in mind. Yeah, exactly. Project 2025, that's what it was called. Like, we just, like, that's how I feel. I'm like, I'm all for like Democrat versus Republican versus any party, really. Truthfully, I would like, and this the same could be same in even in my country, I would like a more even playing field for all of the different political parties. Because, like, I'd say here in Canada, it's very much liberal versus conservative, very much like Republican and Democrat over there. Um, but I will say that in the several last elections that I've voted in here in Canada, I've never voted for either. Not for a very long time. I think the last time I voted for Liberal was, God, I was probably still like just fresh out of high school. But yeah, like I would want other parties to kind of get a chance to shine in the sun just to see what they can do. You know what I mean? Like it's like, I don't know. Trump's plan is called 1947. Well, this is the thing. Like, his plan, the one that he's kind of getting a playbook off, is the same thing that put America in the Great Depression. So how you think it's going to work a second time round is kind of beyond me as well, to be honest, Kaiwan. He had a concept of a plan. Oh, lordy. There needs to be more parties. That's the thing. There's probably more parties. And again, part of my ignorance for state politics. But, like, y'all have other parties too, right? Beyond, like, Democrat and conservative. Because I hear about this Green Party thing, and I hear, you know, like, I'm hearing that there's, like, other things there. So, surely, you know? Surely, like, there's other options, and it's just, I think, what kind of gets, probably in both of our countries' situations, where it gets stuck is that these two parties, whether it's Democrat and Republican over there, or liberal and conservative over here, like, they're so big that, like, people often find themselves afraid to vote for their party because they feel like it won't make a difference. Angela said there's Green Party, Grassroots. Yeah, there's other parties there. And you know, there is here too, and I've voted for other parties here in Canada. And so now we're in this sort of, here in Canada anyway, we're in this sort of situation where our current political race is now more so about who is going to protect Canada from Trump. Like that's kind of the reality of the situation, because, you know, he's convinced Americans to hate Canada, which they didn't until Trump spoke it into existence. Again, cult-like behavior. He told them what they thought, and now they think it. It's crazy. And, like, it feels so obvious to me. And I feel like it's obvious to a lot of people. And then, like, when Republicans speak out about it, then he's just like, they're, like, Democratic, like, spies. It's like, well, no, like, their pages have been, like, right-wing for their entire lives. It's like Joe Rogan even, like, speaking about, like, what Trump is doing and how illegal it is. Joe Rogan, who, like, adored the man. Ben Shapiro, who adored the man, is saying, this idiot doesn't know what he's doing. Like, everyone is losing money. And he's like, you know, he was like a Trump diehard as well. We don't hate Canada, at least I don't. People hate Canada? No, like, people definitely didn't. Like, people definitely, like, it's not to say that, like, you know, Canada doesn't have its issues, but the US definitely didn't hate Canada. And if they didn't, they wouldn't be apologizing every time they come here now. There was always hated Trump. Well, they have good reason to hate him. He is given racist permission to, like, do Nazi salutes out in the open and think that there is no consequence for that. And, like, my sense is, like, I don't know. There is no world in which I could be like, I could be in the same party as, like, literal Nazis. And, like, And again, I'm not saying like that everyone in that group is a Nazi. That's not the case. That is absolutely not the case. Just want to make my stance clear on that. But like they're supporting him for a reason, you know? And it's like the whole Elon Musk stuff. It's like you know, the dude did a salute on screen. And it would be one thing if like he was like, I didn't actually do this. I don't condone this. I don't condone Nazis. He didn't do that. You know? Like, that's all he had to say. If he went out on his, like, very, you know, his own social media network, X or Twitter, whatever, like, and just, like, made a statement and be like, I do not condone this. That is not what I meant when I did that gesture. Then, like, the tension would have been cooled off a little bit, I feel. But since he didn't, this dude has now lost millions and millions of dollars in the Tesla shit, which is kind of funny because, like, when I think about it, it's like, you know, if anything, I feel like electric cars were kind of like a left wing thing. And so, like, the fact that he didn't speak out against it and kind of correct himself is, you know, it really shot him in the foot because that was his entire clientele for that business. Because Republicans were kind of like, we hate electric things. So they're not buying it. The only ones that are buying it are like the people that were convinced by Trump to buy it. Because Trump said so. Again, cult-like behavior. But to that end, I just want to say as well, like, I get the anger. Obviously, I'm part of the anger. I'm like, this trashy dude. But like, defacing like people that owned that car, like their cars, like, they're probably on your side. They probably don't have money for another car right now. So like, if you're going to go the route of like destroying property, just go to the dealership. You know, I'm not condoning it either way, but like, go to the dealership. Don't go to these poor people that are just parked on the street, you know, that likely got the Tesla when Elon Musk was just the guy who owned the company and not the guy in the pocket that has like the president in his pocket. Like, it's like, you know, like, listen, and like also Elon Musk, like, you know, he's never been a well-liked guy either, you know, beyond these years. I think, you know, the reality is just billionaires aren't loved by a lot of people. Just because they kind of hoard the money and treat their workers like trash. Tesla shops. Either way, whatever you want to call it. Like, go to the shops or the dealerships, whatever they are. Don't go, if you see one on the street, do not like throw things at it, deface it, you know? No one but rich people can afford an electric car. True. I've only seen like 2 Teslas in my town. And like, also like, this may be like superficial, but those cars are ugly as shit. Okay? Like, there are better looking electric cars out there, y'all. Like, to me, those particular cars always look like what I imagine people in like the 80s thought the future cars were gonna look like. I don't know. You watched Live with a Lot of Communists. Yeah, but like, you seem to be oblivious to the reality of like who Trump is, though. Because you're acting like he's a good guy, but like, there's all this proof that he's not. And even like, I don't know. It's like everything that is currently happening now was like laid out for everyone to see in a book made by the people that are working underneath him. And then, like, I don't know. And also, like, to that end, like, the tariff plan and like Trump's overall plan, like, in general, like, is something that has happened, you know, 100 years ago. And we saw how that played out. Y'all ended up in the Great Depression. And y'all are heading towards it again. And y'all are like, nope, it's going to work. I'm like, no, it's not. Dude, like, you know, I think like the sort of reality, it is his first time as president. No, like, it's his second time. You know, like, federalism. No, it's not. It's what it is. It's a lot of it is just like authoritarianism, because he is going against the Constitution that you guys supposedly like praise, and you're just ignoring what he's ignoring in the Constitution. It's like not giving criminals due process when that is like a very like firm thing in the law. You don't care about it all of a sudden. There's this poor dude over there in, you know, in El Salvador who isn't even like a part of the gang that, you know, he was trying to go after, you know, fighting for his life, and he doesn't seem to give a shit. In fact, now he's telling lies about the guy that's been debunked. It's like, I don't know, like, you can't see all that and not, like, if you're ignoring all that, then there's like something going wrong up there, and you got to kind of look in the mirror and be like, maybe like I need to think about that. Because I feel like if it were like a Democratic president doing certain things that he's currently doing, y'all would have something to say about it, you know? And I think that's kind of like a different thing that I'm noticing as well, is that I've seen like within the Democratic Party over there that no, but Kaiwan, there's a difference between patriotism and what Trump is doing. So, like, you know, he's trying to get a third term, which is blatantly against the Constitution. And it's just over your head. Like, y'all would rather have, like, a guy who's literally, like, going with dictators and worshiping them like they're, like, kings and wanting to emulate one, instead of giving people the right to vote for who they want to vote for. Patriotism is wanting everybody in your country to win, not discriminating against who they sleep with, who they identify as, the color of their skin, you know, who their parents were. Like, you know, I think the reality is, like, one sees, like, America as this whole entity where, like, everyone, regardless of what their party is, belongs here and deserves a chance to become a citizen if they want to, and things like that. And listen, I'm not, like, saying Democrats don't have their shit, but, like, Republicans just have far more shit. It's like when you, like, I don't know, you, like, accuse, like, the Biden crime family or whatever, but, like, you do see him committing crimes, and you're like, no, but the crimes are for America. That's fucked up. That's so fucked up, dude. Like, in other words, it's okay if my side of politics are criminals, but when yours do something criminal, you know, y'all should get the book thrown at you, but ours should be okay. Like, yeah, he's, like, putting the entire country into another Great Depression, and yeah, our citizens that are here legally are being carried over to El Salvador, like, to the worst prison in the world, and we don't care about them because at least we got the other criminals away. Who cares about that particular guy's situation? Like, that shit's fucked up. It's not America first, it's ignorance. It's blatant ignorance. Truly. Like, it's like, ugh. It's gross. It's disgusting. Yeah, exactly. Wearing Old Navy 4th of July shirt is patriotism. Having a flag in your yard, patriotism. Like, treating other people that don't think the same way as you do as the scum at the bottom of your shoe, that's not patriotism. That's everything from racism, bigotry, you know, like, there's several different things that it is, but it's not patriotism. It's wrong. Like, blatantly wrong. It's just like, and like just the way that they're going after the transgender community, and it's like they're like such a small minuscule part of your population. It's like, just let them do what they want. And it's like, I don't know, the fact that they're erasing like, black people out of history websites and things like that should put an alarm in your head. It doesn't seem to. I'm assuming you don't seem to care about that. So I don't know, to me it just shines a light. Again, it's not about Republican versus Democrat. It's more so like, it's Trump and what he stands for in particular, because he's made it no secret. He's all about lining up the wealthy with more money and kind of eradicating the working class and screwing them out of their retirements and their businesses. And unless you own a business, you don't care, right? Because Kaiwani, you don't own a business, I'm assuming. And you're probably not old enough to really pay attention to your retirement funds. But when you get to that age and you realize there's nothing there for you, it's like, then you'll care. The working class in the short term are already suffering the consequences. If you're referring to the long term, they don't have long-term time to get them out of the funk. That's like saying, well, yeah, we're going to be homeless for the next 15 years until this plan might come to fruition where we're better off for it. But like, those 15 years, you're going to be homeless and living on the streets, probably dead before anything happens, which it won't, because we've seen this exact plan play out and it led to the Great Depression. It's reality. It's the super rich, getting more money and getting more rich, and the rest of the American citizens be damned. It'll be nothing but the rich people who were already rich before this presidency getting more money, while people like yourself get played and screwed out of your retirements, your social security, your businesses, your life work, farmers as well, Who's going to build the factories, Kaiwan? There's no money for it right now. And there won't be. Because every country that he's put tariffs on are firing back. And it's a losing battle. Because it's just going to make everything more expensive for you guys. Y'all won't be able to afford to eat, get your houses, just have any livelihood. And, I also, like, these sort of jobs where, like, a lot of people that were kind of there illegally worked now have nobody to work there, and it's too expensive to pay them a normal wage, so no one's going to go for that job. That said, that should have never been a thing. People working for less than poor conditions because they're hiding. Yeah, that's how I feel, Allison. Like, I don't hate real Republicans. Real Republicans have spoken out against him. Yeah. It's not about Republicans. It's literally just about, like, this guy. Get yourself a better candidate who isn't about themselves, and that's gonna fight for the people. That's not afraid to stand up to, like, him and the people that he's tricked into thinking he's good for them, versus the rest. No, but like, Taiwan, like, you're missing the point. Like, it's the reality. Like, the reason why there aren't companies to make certain things in the States is because it would be too expensive to make. There's no funding for it in America. That's why they look to other countries for the cheaper stuff, so that they can get things made for cheap and have their businesses over here. It's just like the way the world works. Like, I would gladly take John McCain or Romney. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, all the politicians that I've seen in the past, like, that were right-wing. It's not like they were perfect, but neither are the left. Let's just, again, I just want to put that out there. But, like, They were like normal politicians that like truly believed in what they were saying and like wanted to put people first. But you know, this guy's like weaponizing like people's sort of fears and hatred to sort of rile up his own base. And like, I don't know, it's like those weird things. Like, pay attention to like the transgender people, but ignore the fact that I've given this tax cut for billionaires. Ignore the fact that like there's just this billionaire guy that's working for me that you guys didn't elect. But focus on like the radical left. You know, it's like, I don't know. To me, there's never been a more obvious con artist, and that was like apparent before he was a politician. I think there's a lot of people that just think that like, I don't know, it began with the presidency or him running for president back in 2016 or whatever it was. But no, it was like, no, it was before that. Like, ask anyone who lived in this town. I don't know. It just feels like, and this can be true again for both politicians. Like, it feels very like, there's a lot of theater in it, where like, they're, you know, they will say all these things and then like not do anything that they said. You know what I mean? Or, you know, do exactly what they said, but then you're ignoring all the criminality behind it and all the people that are getting screwed because of it. Because other countries, they can have somebody work for slave wages, and in America, they have to hire regular people like us and you. But they can't afford to. That's the problem, Taiwan. There's going to be no one working there because it's not going to happen. Like, you know, it's like the reality is like the economy is in such dire states that like, you know, jobs can't, or I don't know. I think more so the reality is like when it comes to most companies, I feel like all companies are going to take advantage of their workers. And they do, you know? All right, you have a good night, Kawan. Problem is, no one should be forced to work unless... Oh, yeah, I completely agree, Allison. I completely agree with that. But, yeah, I think the reality is, like... I think Trump is living in a delusion where he thinks he can snap his fingers and, like, that'll just, like, work. Like, I think maybe... Like, let's say he had this tariff thing in mind with the intention that he believed it was going to work. And, like, maybe he did. But I think what he didn't think about is that, like... I think he's convinced himself that people love the state so much that they'll just bow down and do whatever they demanded. And now that countries are fighting back, he's having to, like, sort of put things on pause and, you know, retrace a step and then make up an excuse to do whatever. Everything made in China is so much cheaper. Yeah. That's just the reality of the situation. And it's smart of the states to sort of go to the other countries where they can get things for cheap so that people in their countries can benefit off of that. But with this tariff war, it is now making all the supplies and demands, particularly from China, I think, because from what I've heard, they've, like, fought back the tariff thing in every other way. And they've also sort of pulled out of bonds that are now lowering the US dollar. And listen, I'm from Canada. Our dollar is shit, okay? Like, you know, when we have to like change our currency to travel to the States, like, you know, we're not getting a whole lot when we transfer our money. But when the States comes to Canada, y'all have more money, you know, than you would have just being in the States. The whole world hates us. Everything can't be wrong. Everyone can't be wrong. That's the thing. And, like, it's sad reality that, like, and, like, the people that just are so diehard for Trump, they can't see that they live in this. But I also think there's also some truth to be said, that I think that Americans have always been a little bit ignorant on all sides towards how the world sees the U.S. Like, I can say that, like, you know, there are a lot of things we do love about the U.S. You know, we love the artists that come from there that make incredible music. We love the scenery of certain places in the States. We love the vibe of certain places in the States. You know, a lot of good things have come from the States. But when it comes to, like, you know, other countries, it's like they don't really know much about the rest of the world. And so, I don't know, my experience as someone who's traveled to the States in the past, growing up, is that, like, I don't know, a lot of people just have this, like, no clue, like, what our country is like, you know? It's like the ones that are just like, y'all say, I feel like we've had this conversation before, the ones that think we say words like a boot all the time and a all the time, and like that we always live in igloos. And it's like, it's not like jokes, it's like people genuinely thought that we like all live in igloos, and that we all like had moose in our yard, and like, you know, like just the weirdest shit. And like, it always just confused me growing up, like, how do people, like, I was like, people seriously think this? And it's like, it like, for me, it always made me wonder, like, are all the different parts of the world, like, just so oblivious to other parts of the world, and we just all, like, have this conclusion about what every country is like? And I don't know. And it feels like, especially now, like, just in present day, just in terms of, like, technology, there's no reason that we should be so ignorant to, like, what other places are like. You know? We got YouTube, where people are just walking around any city in the world, live streaming any part of the world. They did back then, Allison. I promise you. Like, people, like, I'm not even kidding. So I have cousins in Florida, and when they lived near Fort Lauderdale, one of their neighbors genuinely with, like, the most serious thoughts was like, what did he say? He was like, how do you guys heat your houses? And I was like, with heat. And he's like, but aren't your houses, like, made of, like, ice and stuff? And I was like, no. Like, I was just so, like, baffled by it. And I was like, damn. And it's not like, he wasn't some, like, old geezer or anything. He was like this, probably at that point, like, in his 30s or 40s. He had a kid my age. At the time, how old was I? Probably like 14, 15, 16. And I was just like, huh? Like, I was just so, like, mind boggled. Sandy said, I love Canada. It's so beautiful. Only went to Vancouver, Whistler Mountain, and Victoria Island. But see, like, not all Canada is beautiful. Like, and like, yeah, they are certainly the most beautiful parts of Canada. The mountains, the, you know, the nature in certain parts of Canada. But not all of Canada is that beautiful. You know, I have to travel 3.5 hours to see any mountains from where I live. And for the most part, we are, like, a lot of woods and a lot of plain fields of nothing. A lot of farm fields of nothing. Whistler is like the Rockies. Yeah, Whistler is one of the Rockies. And the Rockies kind of carry into the States a little bit too. I think in Seattle, if I'm correct. But yeah, I don't know. We got good nature, but so do y'all. But I know that not all states have the best nature, and I know that, like, every state is very vastly different from each other in terms of, like, you know, A, climate, B, what's there. C, the people. D, the friendliness. Like every place is a little bit different, and it's the same here in Canada. But I think, kind of just to call back on like GH a little bit, like I think there's sort of, what did I say for Molly? A romanticized version of like who we are, and perhaps I think the states have their own romanticized version of like who they are. And I think a lot of it just comes from not like exploring your own country, maybe. I don't know. And again, I'm not saying like all this, every American is like this, but I think that there's just a huge chunk of Americans that just don't see enough of their own country and, you know, enough of other people's realities. They kind of hang out with like their own sort of group of people, and they're not really in the room with other people. I feel like it wasn't as bad back in the day. Because I think the reality of like, let's say like 2000, before the dawn of social media, let's say that, people often kept their political beliefs to themselves. So it was like, you know, no one talked about it. And is that wrong? I don't know. Not like, I don't think it's like, oh, if we just not talk about our politics. I think the reality is that like, because we all have a platform now where we can kind of state our mind or state our opinions on social media for anyone to put their 2 cents on in public, and we feel the need to kind of get our points across on social media, where it's like, you don't necessarily need to, you know? It's the era of the influencer, you know? and again, it kind of comes back to like, again, you can state your own opinions, but you invite yourself to getting clapbacks online. But I think what the Trump era has kind of done is he's made it okay for people to be vile and be openly disgusting towards people, and to like make jokes about, you know, politicians like that get attacked in their houses. I think that happened, was it the last presidency or like in the sort of transition of it? And so he's given those people permission to be just as vile as he can be online. And so that has kind of made the online battle even worse. And I think there was a time where Democrats like sort of, oh, good night, Sandy. Yeah, we're gonna end this vlog, this stream in a second here. Like, I think there was a time where Democrats took the high road and didn't say, insults towards their opponents as vilely as they do now. But I think that reality is, I think the reason for it is because being the nice guy doesn't work with his particular followers. So, and then now that they're kind of trying to be on the same wavelength in terms of like clapping back and being more, what's the word? Being more blatant, or like being more just matter of fact and harsher. Now that they start to do it, and then now suddenly the right's like, oh, how dare you, like, call him this, call him a Nazi and this and that. And it's like, how dare you? Oh, they always just use nicknames against us. And I'm like, the party that literally spent the entire campaign being like Sleepy Joe, snowflakes, the woke left, is now mad that we're saying he is a fascist and a Nazi. I don't know, like, that's assertive, thank you. So that's, I don't know, that's how I'm like, I don't know. It's just like funny and be like, no. Don't say that you're like, or they're like, oh, or what I've seen like online is like, oh, so much for the tolerant left. I'd be like, well, being tolerant didn't work for y'all, so now you're left with what you're left with. And that sucks because I don't know. I feel like, and this is just me, my particular life, the people I'm surrounded by, a lot of us can state our opinions online, on our own social media, whatever, and sort of invite a civil conversation and be like, hey, like, I want to know genuinely why it is you want to vote this way. I think this way. Can we have an open discussion that is mature? Like, I feel like that's a lot of my friend base. And I have friends on the left and on the right in town. And I'm sure not all of them agree with me politically. And again, I've always found myself to be more independent, and I've not voted for liberal or conservative in like, to be fair, I've never voted conservative, but I've not voted liberal in a long time. Because I want to see what other parties can do. But I would say I'm probably more left-leaning just in terms of my morals and values. I'm a gay black man. I don't want to have people in power that have people that are openly racist towards black people, openly homophobic towards the gays, and treating people kind of within sort of the realm of like the LGBTQ, like they're these, sort of subspecies of people that don't deserve the same rights as everybody else. You know what I mean? So that's why. And if that makes me woke, it's like, okay, so I'm awake and you're what? Asleep? Like, I don't know. It's just, the whole thing is so weird to me, what politics is now. And I would love for it to go back to just like being more like, me and my friends. And listen, again, it's not like I've not dished it out and had like arguments and things get blown out of proportion, but it's kind of just like the energy of how the other person is treating me. It's like, well, if you're gonna do this way, then I'm gonna clap back the right way. Left-leaning moderate, yeah, I would say that's probably like, I guess more so. I guess if I were to describe myself more like that, I don't know. I've just always been willing to hear every party out and what their ideas are. But again, it's like, especially for this upcoming election, which voting has already begun for here in Canada. Early voting has started. I'm likely going to vote on the actual day, just because it's the only day that I have off where I'm not working like till 6. I hate that word, woke. I feel like if you were to ask someone that is right-winged what woke was, they wouldn't really know how to define it without making themselves seem a little bit racist. Like, you know what I mean? Because like when I see it, it's like people getting mad at like Legos when there's different colored Legos, skin colored Lego people, and being like, oh, that's so woke. Or like people being like, oh, Little Mermaid is black now, that's so woke. Or like, oh, this commercial has multicolored people in it, that's so woke. But then you're like, how do you define it? They just kind of get all silent and like confused, because they're kind of like trying to turn it into something that doesn't make them sound a little bit racist. That's my 2 cents about that word, but yeah, it's always said in a derogatory way. Yeah, and I'm like, I don't know. I remember when woke just meant like you were like kind of a hippie. You know, like it's like I feel like the only thing I can really compare it to is like the 70s when like people called like people that were just like more spiritual and loving towards everyone as like, oh, tree hugging hippies. What are y'all voting for? Okay, so this is the point I wanted to make, and this is where we're gonna end the stream after this point. We're now in a situation where conservatives are using similar slogans to what America was doing. And so like, and you know, like I think our leading conservative leader, Pierre, initially was very supportive of Trump, and shared a lot of his ideologies. Like it's 420, let's get high. Exactly. And so there's that, and it wasn't until Trump started trashing Canada that Pierre was like, oh, actually, we gotta fight Trump. But it doesn't seem sincere, because it's like, I think the reality is like Canada's reaction overall from all political sides was not great. You know, now the world collectively, or our country collectively, is booing the States at hockey games. They're not buying American anymore. They're not traveling to America in droves anymore. And God, I seen that definitely this weekend. It felt like I don't think I've seen so many people in this mall in the entire time that I've worked there. And I seen very little Americans and very like Canadians from all over our country, from Quebec, from Ontario, BC, you know, Manitoba, Saskatchewan, like everywhere in Canada. Seen a couple of Americans. Got apologized to by Americans multiple times over the weekend. We're just so sorry what he's doing. We don't like what he's doing to y'all. Be like, thank you. Then like get him out. Get him out. That's it. But yeah, so now we're in a situation where it's like conservatives are emulating Trump, and I think they're only speaking out against him because they know, like, oh, our original, like, wanting to be like him isn't going to work now because of what his rhetoric is over there towards Canada. And, like, because everyone mutually kind of feels that way, no matter what party they support, it's put them in a position where they have to kind of backtrack everything they had been saying up until that point. Whereas, like, you know, the liberal side has always spoken out against him, and Liberal Party has been, you know, kind of the winning party for a long time. And while I normally would like vote the party that I want to vote for, it's like it makes me think twice about just putting my vote towards a party that I know is probably not going to win, but might win in terms of my own town, and it has in the past, in terms of like who governs within our provinces, but and within our sort of cities as well, but it's, you know, it's making me think, like, do I do that again, or do I make sure that we don't have this party in power, so that, you know, exactly what's going on in the States doesn't happen over here? Because I feel like, I don't know, when I look at what happened in the States election, I feel like the general consensus is one of two things. One, that people voted for third party and it cost Kamala the election, or that Elon Musk bought the election and rigged it in their favors. Because there were some questionable things like, you know, this state here blew down the pipe, except voted for Trump as president, which makes not much sense to me. And so I can see where that thought would be. But yeah, so I don't know. I don't know which one I believe is true. Both seem plausible to me at this point. So I don't know. Plus we had like footage of like Trump being like, "Oh, Elon Musk, he knows those voting machines sure well. You don't have to vote. We got this no matter what, whether you vote or not." Like that would ring alarm bells in my head. And then also as someone that like watched, like, I always tried to watch, especially because of, you know, how scary things were in the politics. I was kind of viewing both sort of campaigns and rallies and stuff. And to me, it looked like a lot of Trump's rallies were like half empty places. People seemed to be leaving. The camera angles were sort of mostly favoring the crowded section, but like the odd camera that was zoomed out showed like half empty arenas, whereas like the Kamala ones were like full arenas all the time. And you could maybe argue that they had like a lot of celebrities that people would want to see there, so that's why they filled up, maybe. But like it still doesn't negate the fact that he, you know, had significantly less amount of people out there doing it, or people like leaving early and stuff. So I don't know. You're saying we can't do anything about him to get him out at this point? Maybe not, but like, you guys have midterms and stuff, right? So you can kind of like vote the other way, to kind of show them, you know, what you guys want to lean towards, and kind of put a majority in the House that might work in your favor to get him out. That's the only thing I can think of, unless, you know, Elon just continues to buy elections. But it didn't work for certain states over there, right? So I don't know. He had them in the desert with no transportation. That I seen too. I remember that as well. But anyway, my hope for you guys is that you just get him out of there, and that politician, you know, like, if I were to come up, like, if there were to be an appropriate slogan for what I want in the States that is very Trump-esque, it would be like, make politics boring again. Make them boring again. Oh, you know, where we just had to like actually listen to like actual policies and genuine, you know, opinions, and where it's like, well, that person raises a good point for that. That person raises a good point for that. How much more do I agree with this person versus this person? Instead of like, oh, we hate the left, vote for us. And we hate the right, vote for us, you know? Because I think what the Trump situation has shown me is that, like, it doesn't take much to convince people of things one way or the other. You know, if you have a lot of people that don't pay attention to like the important things of, like, you know, like how well planned out, you know, certain ideas are, versus like, you know, trans are bad, screw the left, whatever, like all these like buzzwords and buzz sayings that they spent half their campaigning saying, you know, and that's all the people would want to hear. Oh, they hate the same people I do, let me vote for them. You know, whereas like, it's not that Kamala didn't make mistakes, but I think that what she did do right is saying, if I win, you guys all get a seat at the table. You know, like, no matter what party you're on, I will listen to you. Whereas like, this party's like, I won't listen to you. Screw anyone that thinks differently from me. There will be consequences if you think differently of me. If you protest me, whatever, I'll pull funding. I'll threaten you. If you're a media outlet, kind of saying anything bad about me, I'm gonna pull you. Like that shit's scary. If anyone from any left leaning thing that I lean towards was doing that kind of shit, I would be moving this way. I'd be like, no, that shit's scary. I'll be over here. Like, whereas I don't think, like, a lot of people that, like, support him would actually do. Propaganda. Yeah, that's the reality. And, rock stars have been talking about that for decades. Maybe that's why I tend to be more left-leaning, because it's like, there are certain things that we can just see. Kelly didn't win because she's a black woman. That I don't have doubts that played into it too. There's probably a lot of things that factored into why she didn't win, even if Elon did, like, rig the election. Again, not saying it's true. I'm just saying it could be possible. But yeah, like I think it also didn't help that, like, they were really running with Joe for, like, the longest time. If they had started with Kamala from the jump, maybe, like if Biden went into his term and, like, kind of wanted that to be his only term and just was like, I won't be running, Kamala's gonna do this in 4 years in my place. Maybe, but I don't know. Angel, your middle school nephew liked Trump based on propaganda, but my niece, which is 1 year older, does not like Trump. Yeah, it's, and again, I think it probably depends on, who you surround yourself with. I don't know, it's funny, like, I have cousins, like I said, that live in Florida, where obviously it's very much a red state. What did I miss? We've been talking about politics for about an hour and a half, Laura. We stopped talking about GH about like almost like 9:45 my time. It's 10:50 now. We got into politics mostly because we were talking about the political stuff going on General Hospital, and it kind of led into the conversation at the end of it, because I kind of saved Sonny and Laura and Drew for last when we were recapping the show. And then it sort of led into conversations of what reality is currently in the States and in the world as well. But yeah, like I was saying, I have cousins in Florida, but I have a cousin that works in the health district, and she's seeing the reality of, like, certain things that he's doing and how sketchy it is in terms of, like, things that he's hiding, things that he's, not things that aren't being discussed in the news because they're not allowed to speak about it, which is scary. No, I don't watch Will Trent, but I did see, like, the clips that GH posted on their social media. I'm not a big TV show watcher, but I did see the clips that they posted where one of the characters was talking about the Quartermains and Lila and Edward, and they showed, like, the old classic Faces of the Heart intro with, like, pictures of Monica and Carly, and then, like, some of their own characters. And I think, isn't the girl that plays Violet also on that show? Did I imagine that? Maybe I'm wrong, but I swear she's on Will Trent. Allison, you said, don't think the 13-year-old cares. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It's hard to get kids into politics, Kids genuinely, or kids just want to be kids. And I think that's fine, because they don't get a vote until they're, an adult anyway. I don't think I started paying much attention to politics until I was about 16 years old either. So, oh, you found out from a friend about that. That's cool. Yeah, no, I just, I be on social media and I sees it on social media. On Instagram. I'm not on all. I'm not on Twitter. I'm not on, what are the other ones at this point now? I'm on Facebook and Instagram. I have a TikTok. I never use it. It's really just related to my band. That's it. I never had Snapchat. Never had Twitter. What are the other things? Obviously, I don't have Truth Social. Yeah. Yep. Maybe it's because I'm in my 30s, and I think we all kind of stick to what we know. All these things like Snapchat and like TikTok and Twitter and all this other stuff came afterwards. I'm the MySpace generation. MySpace was first, and in Canada, it was also Nexopia. So I had those first, and then I got Facebook, and then eventually Instagram. And Tumblr. Tumblr's in there too. Tumblr's like the cockroach that won't die, It's just fun to scroll through like random pictures and memes and things about the shows that you watch. And it's very easy to not see much politics on there if you don't want to. It's just a place where you can just cater to your nerdiness of whatever you like, whether it's soaps, anime, hot guys, hot girls, whatever. You don't need a thought process. You can do fan fictions if you want. I'm not in that, but Allison, you said you had Twitter but never posted. I was never on TikTok or Snapchat. Had it not been for being in a band, I would never have gotten TikTok. I hated getting it. And again, I don't use it unless I have to promote a show. Or create content to lead up to another show. Instagram and Facebook are linked. That's true. But they weren't always. To be fair. Surprise Tumblr is still around. Yeah, like I said, it's the cockroach that won't die, It's a pit of nothing. Of, mindless entertainment. And then, listen, it's not like there's not politics on there. There definitely is if you want to look for it. But unless you're looking for it, you won't see it. Whereas, like, Tumblr, you follow the people that you follow because you liked the pictures that they posted or the things that they've reblogged. And it's mostly, because of how it started, it's mostly the things you grew up with, enjoying. It's like your own little getaway from the world. Whereas, like, Facebook, you can't escape reality there. Got on MySpace at the tail end. Oh, man. I had MySpace where we had to, like, use codes and stuff to create our backgrounds. And like, you had your top 8 friends. And you had the song that you picked for your profile. That era. And I had both, like, my regular MySpace. And I had a music MySpace for my demos back then. And I was going by Envious, just like Envious01, the other YouTube channel that I used to have. I still have it. I just stopped using it because it was just hard to put like my show on both. And it also felt not authentic to like, jump on the bandwagon with my GHMV show with a bunch of followers, 10,000 some odd subscribers that were there for like the videos of GH that I uploaded back in the day. So it's like, stick to my own, build it from there. If you focus on both, you won't gain more. So yeah. You love Facebook back in the day? I still like Facebook. And only because it's probably the easiest way to keep in touch with everyone. It's not the same. It really isn't the same anymore, but it is. It's. I feel like it's an easy way to, if you're throwing, whether it's a personal party, like your birthday party, it's easy to just send the invites on there instead of like emailing everyone individually. You just make a Facebook post, invite them, be like, hey, I'm having a party this day. Are you coming? Yes or no? It's easy to set up an event, like a concert on there. It's easy to find out who's going to a concert that you're going to, because you can see who's all going, and if any of your friends are going, it might convince you more to go. Like all that stuff. That's why I still use Facebook religiously. And yeah, the political stuff, it can suck. Too many boys. On Facebook? I mean, to me, like, Facebook, like, you just add, like, your friends. I don't know. I never, like, added random people that I don't know to Facebook. And while it's getting riddled with ads now, and that blows, but thankfully there's, like, a button that you can just select that it just says friends, and you'll only see your friends' posts, instead of these random videos that the algorithm is feeding you, and random like memes and random pictures and whatever. So I just try to stick to the friends, post as much as I can. And I kind of do that on Instagram as well. I kind of do that because you can just have it like your normal Instagram. Bots, exactly, that too. Yeah, there's a lot of bots that always try to add you. That's the downside to Facebook for sure. But yeah, I think that, I don't know, algorithm is really killing social media, I feel. It's making it harder for people to see their friends' content and for their own content to be seen, whether that's something as simple as family vacations to if you were working on a project that you're doing for like your businesses and your, for me, like my band, or just music that I'm putting out to show people. I don't know. Because of the algorithms, I feel like things fall on deaf ears. The one thing that I'm proud of, at least with one of my Instagram pages, Music and YEG. Oh, bots, okay. My Music and YEG is sort of picking up steam. And probably because I posted 29 freaking videos in the span of 5 days of 29 different bands. But like, that was hard, y'all. But it's consistent content, even if it's not daily. Like, people can always count on there being weekly updates for local music that's come out, and great concert footage. And so Edmontonians that love local music tend to find my page. And now that's hitting, I'm like maybe 50 away from 2,000 people in my own town, which is great. And it also kind of puts to reality like how many people like local music, and also how many local musicians there are. Because a lot of musicians will add me because they want me to come to their shows to film them, or to announce their new songs on my stories. People pretending to be your friends and family trying to add you. I've never had that personally. I mean, okay. No, I know that, like, I've had family get hacked on their own Facebook page, or like they've used like their like family members' pictures. But when I see like a secondary like person that I already have on there, I will reach out to the first person and be like, hey, did you make a new Facebook page? Or like, hey, did you get hacked? Like, I'll double check certain things with them by like calling them or texting them or whatever. And that's how I kind of weave that out. All right, but anyway, I have been here for what? 9:30 to 10:30, an hour and a half. I think we end it here, guys. Or no, wait, 8:30, 9:30, 9:30, 10:30, 2.5 hours. 2.5 hours, y'all. That's the longest I've live streamed in years. I can't wait to see how many negative thumbs down this video gets for stating my political beliefs, but it is what it is. I don't know. I feel like, at least in my viewership, there's more left-leaning people than right-leaning people. But it is what it is. I can't help it. All I can do is be myself. And, and, Angel, you said, oh, man. Someone pretending to be Steve Burton trying to add me on Facebook. See, that's the thing. I don't look up anything GH related on my Facebook. And that's probably why I've managed to get away with not having fake GH cast members approach me. I have James Lott Jr. on Facebook, but that's because we're Facebook friends. And we're friends, you know, in real life as well. So that's different. If he's posting GH stuff, it's just because he's him. But my mom falls for like all those like fake spoiler pages on Facebook. And, you know, where they say like this actor has died and all this stuff. And stuff that you can see on YouTube as well. And I'm like, Mom, it's not real. Don't read any Facebook spoilers for GH. Go to Soap Hub, Soap Central, Soap Digest. There are plenty of legitimate sources. Go there. Go there. You ever get an actual celebrity and they're so offended that you think they're fake? They video you. It happened. That did not happen to me, but that sounds amazing. I've had friends that I didn't realize were celebrities until I, you know, realized afterwards by like figuring out from word of mouth. And I'm like, oops. But I'm also like, thank God I didn't know, because I might have been intimidated. And it's funny because it was like, in one certain case, it was just because he looked nothing like he did back in the day. He looked very much different from like the band that I knew that was famous. That still are famous, but they only really got back together recently. So took me a minute. And I just, you know, to this day, he still doesn't know. Maybe he knows now that I'm talking about it a bit more, but he didn't know that I once didn't realize who he was. He just probably assumed I always did, and I made it seem that way. So I was like, once I figured it out, I was like, oh man, cool. Yep, I knew that. Totally knew that. Yeah, it's cool that you guys are back together. Oh man. All right, but yeah, y'all, I need to go to bed. So thanks for, you know, humoring me and letting me get on my little soapbox and give my opinion on the state of your country, the state of mine. Dang, they wanted your attention, Laura. That's so funny. That's so funny. But yeah, and like you said, Allison, haters are gonna hate. It is what it is. You know, and I want to say this to all of you: be you, be yourself. The right people will flock towards you, and the people that you probably don't want to fuck with will go away on their own. You know? And you know, even like me, I'm like, I tend to not do too much politics on my Facebook pages and Instagram pages. Here and there. But I'm not like, I don't want to be the kind of person that makes politics my whole personality. Refuse to do it. There are so many things about me that I want people to know about me. You know, how I was brought up, what I love to do, what I love to see, what my hobbies are, you know, how I entertain myself. I think, you know, if I do sort of any political post, it's like, you know, say my piece and let the conversation be that. Leave it alone for a few months. Maybe I'll say something on the day that I go vote. But that's it. All right. But yeah, good night, y'all. Thanks so much. If you are still here for the live stream, sorry for keeping you up so late. And, you know, you don't have to apologize to like keeping me up so late. I'm here. I can press the end broadcast button whenever I want to. But yeah, thanks for humoring me. Good night. See you guys this Wednesday for, you know, it's either going to be a hangout stream or maybe we'll find something classic to watch. It all depends on if there's any callbacks on Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday's episodes of GH that I want to throw back to and reference. We'll see. We're winging it. Winging it Wednesdays. Maybe we should start calling it that. All right. Have a good week, y'all. Sleep well. See y'all Wednesday. Mwah. Good night.